When I stood over my father's casket when I was 15 years old, I had no Christian background or influence. I was still years away from coming to faith, years away from planting a church and being a pastor. Yet, even in that moment, there was something in me that knew that the reality that I was experiencing was disjointed. I mean, I didn't even believe in God, but I didn't believe this pain was just the way things were supposed to be. I knew there was a way the universe was supposed to be, and this wasn't it. The Bible says this is because God has put eternity into man's hearts in Ecclesiastes 3. At the start, humankind was placed in a world without sin and death. In Genesis 1 and 2, we see that beautiful picture. And that's why we pine after beauty and justice and love and peace. We were made for a different world than this. That feeling, it's like nostalgia. We know the life of the garden and our heart yearns for it every day. We would not have those moral categories without God having given them to us. So while Genesis 1 and 2, they echo in our hearts as nostalgia, Genesis 3 and 4 exist before our eyes every single day. The brokenness of this world. It's all around us and all within us. Yet the very idea of hope, peace, joy, and love are proof of God's existence, not evidence of his absence, which is what this whole Advent series is about. Those big four things: hope, peace, love, joy. Now, the skeptic screams, what about evil? And assumes that the mention of evil settles the debate and proves the lack of God. And no doubt, evil raises fair questions about the nature of God, for sure. But the very use of the word evil, we got to understand, actually reveals echoes of Genesis 1 and 2. What makes something evil? Isn't the evil that we see in the world the most natural thing that there is? When a pack of coyotes kills a wounded animal, no one's outraged by the scene. No one would call it evil. That's just, nature red in tooth and claw. Yet no one hesitates to call a terrible action that someone does, murder, let's say, they don't hesitate to call that an act of evil. Famine is natural, but wouldn't we agree we should do everything in our power to stop it? In nature, strong animals often do to the weak whatever they want. But don't we all say the abuse of a child is wrong? Why? How do we naturally know that human beings are unique and deserve special protection and are different than the animals? Why do we rightly call all sorts of actions acts of evil, even when a good number of people don't believe in God? The question of evil might be tough for a Christian to answer, but it's tougher for an atheist or a skeptic or an unbeliever or an agnostic. Just the use of the category evil or suffering actually tilt the conversation toward belief. We sense in ourselves and in our culture that there is a way the universe is supposed to be, and that's the category we're using to put God on trial. That there really is non-evil and non-suffering, which is a better and more sought-after state of things. And the existence of these convictions actually points us to God, not away from him. So the writer C.S. Lewis, in his book Mere Christianity, as he worked through his own atheism, put it this way. He said, when I was an atheist, my argument against God was that the universe seemed so cruel and unjust. But how had I got this idea of just and unjust? What was I comparing the universe with when I called it unjust? Of course, I could have just given up my idea of justice by saying that it was nothing but a private idea of my own. But if I did that, then my argument against God collapsed too, for the argument depended on saying that the world was really unjust, not just simply that it did not happen to please my fancies. That's the idea. So the concept of hope admits that this world is not the way it's supposed to be. We long for something better, something right. We admit this world isn't it. Yet hope is born from a memory echoing in our ears and a future reality whose whisper is calling us forward. The very thought of hope gives us reason to believe. So during this season, what do we sing? We sing a thrill of hope. A weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. right? All of creation longs for a thrill of hope, right? There is a desire within each of us. Now you're going to have that in your head for the rest of the day. For a new and glorious morn. That desire is there. So listen to that longing. That's the challenge. Recognize that its presence is a sign that right and wrong really exist. That if this isn't how the world is supposed to be, there is a way that it's supposed to be. And allow that longing to open your heart and your mind to the source of our hope, Jesus himself. A thrill of hope, a weary world rejoices. Fall on your knee and hear the angel calling. Oh night, divine, oh it's divine. Oh night divine.